Shabbat Shalom. I'm wondering if you might help me if you turn to your handout, the very first song. If you're not familiar with this melody, I'm going to teach you the first part. If you just echo after me, La Yehudim. You try that. La Yehudim. Beautiful. Next part. Haitahora. And then it repeats again. Haitahora. Try that one more time. Then you sing V'simcha, V'sason, V'ikar. Let's try that. V'simcha, V'sason, V'ikar. Beautiful. Let's put that all together. Ready? Here we go. La Yehudim, Haitahora, Haitahora, V'simcha, V'sason, V'ikar. Okay, that was beautiful. Now we're going to sing this to usher in Shabbat. These words that you'll be singing actually come from Megillat Esther. And we sing these words when we are in the moment of Havdalah. Why would we sing these tonight when it's the beginning of Shabbat? And this is for Havdalah. In a way, we're in a place of Havdalah. We're separating ourselves from the year that was into this next secular year. The words, the translation to these words, the Jews had light, joy, gladness, and honor. So may it be for us. Let's sing together. La Yehudim, Haitahora, Haitahora, V'simcha, V'sason, V'ikar. La Yehudim, Haitahora, Haitahora, V'simcha, V'sason, V'ikar. And now to the second part. Ken tielanu, tielanu, tielanu. Let's try that together. Ken tielanu, tielanu, tielanu. La Yehudim, Haitahora, Haitahora, V'simcha, V'sason, V'ikar. La Yehudim, Haitahora, Haitahora, V'simcha, V'sason, V'ikar.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So good to see everybody. You know, there are at least two different notions of time. There is what we call clock time, the tick-tock of the clock, which moves on inexorably. And clock time does not single out any particular moment in time. All moments are exactly the same. And if we were to stare at a clock for a couple of hours, we would see very clearly how that is true. There's also a notion of time which suggests that at particular moments, we have an opportunity to see through daily reality to some deeper understanding of the nature of things and the nature of our lives. Moments like birthdays, anniversaries, places like where we were born. When we go back there, clock time seems to halt. New Year's, the beginning of a year, is also to be understood in terms of a kind of moment where we can see more deeply into what's possible, renewal, a new beginning. And so I encourage us to recognize that this moment, January 2nd, 2026, if you can believe it, weren't we just thinking about the stopping of our technologies 26 years ago? And here we are a quarter of a century later. So this is one of those moments when we have an opportunity to see something about the depth quality of life and of our lives. It's my pleasure to welcome forward Dr. Deborah Friedman, who is going to lead us in the lighting of the Shabbat candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who have kindled light. I'm allowed to use this thing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirshana b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lihadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Amen. We continue now in our prayer books on page 20 for the singing of Lechadoti. As you know, when we arrive at the last verse, we stand and face the door and welcome the Sabbath bride, and then remain standing.
Lay, 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 ya la 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 lekra kala, ya la 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 ya b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat dikabela, ya la 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 lekra kala, ya la 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 ya b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat dikabela. Shamor v'zachor midibor echad Hishmiyanu elcham yuchad Adonai echad Ushmo echad L'shemo tiferet v'lichila Ya la la ya la 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 lechadodi Ya la 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 likra kala Ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat b'nei Shabbat dikabela Ya la 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 lechadodi Ya la 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 likra kala Ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat b'nei Shabbat dikabela לקראת שבת, לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם, ניסוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. יאללה אליי, יאללה לה 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 לך דודי. Please join me. יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקרא בילה. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי. יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקרא. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצורה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, יאללה לה 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 לך דודי. יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקרא בילה. יאללה לה 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 לך דודי. יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקרא בילה.
Turning to page 28 for the Baruch, the call to worship.
Prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalla la la la, 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 yalla la la la. Yalla la la la, yalla la la la. Baruch hu et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamivorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Yalla la. Yalla la la la, 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 yalla la la la.
We read together on page 28, praise Adonai to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai to whom praise is due now and forever. Beginning on page 30, I want to read with you pages 30, 32, and 34. Two prayers before the Shema, both celebrate an aspect of our lives, the orderliness of the created universe on page 30, and the gift of Torah on page 32. Finally, on page 34, we have the Shema, which celebrates the prospect, the possibility of unity. These three prayers, a kind of narrative, lead to the gift of the opportunity to say, you shall love the Lord your God. For those reasons, not in the abstract or isolated, but because of the gifts that pages 30, 32, and 34 bring to prominence. Let's read page 30 together. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the times and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are the creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. Continuing together on page 32. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 34.
Shema Yisrael,
Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto,
Le'olam
Va'ed. Together. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. You may be seated as we turn to page 36, chanting the V'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני
And now we read together the V'ahavta, which involves our obligations, forms of love, which, as I suggested, is our response to what we have discovered on pages 32, 30, 32, and 34. Let's read together. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Continuing on page 40. Let's read these 3 paragraphs together. Who is like you, O God, among the gods that are worshipped? who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders. Your children witnessed your sovereignty, the sea splitting before Moses and Miriam. This is our God, they cried. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neder b'kodesh, norati hilo do sefele, o sefele. Malachutecha ra'u vanecha, bokeyom lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, malachutecha ra'u vanecha, bokeyom lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zezeli, hanovi ameru, Adonai imloch, leolam, leolam vaed, yala la 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 la, yala la la la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, v'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, uglanad mi chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la, yala la 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 la. Amen.
On page 42. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukkot shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ushmor tzeitenu uvoenu lechaim shalom me'ata ve'ad olam.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Lishon, Amidenu Shomreim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Lishon, Amidenu Shomreim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu L'chaim, Hamidenu Malkeinu, L'chaim.
We turn now in our prayer books to page 46, and as you are able, I invite you to rise for the Amidah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi tehillatech. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor Menorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'yimachot, U'mevii Geula Livnei Vaneichem, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחייך כל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחייך כה ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחייך הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יחללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. Turning now to page 61. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Let's continue together. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One,
Who blesses our people with peace.
Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom.
Shalom, Rav Yisrael, Amacha, Tasim, Leolam. Shalom, Rav Yisrael, Amacha, Tasim. אתה אדוני, המברך את עמו ישראל, בשלום.
We have several moments now for silent prayer.
יהי רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו. יהי רצון מלפניך, אלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, שתחדש עלינו שנה טובה, שתחדש עלינו שנה טובה, שנה טובה ומתוקה. יהי רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו. יהי רצון מלפניך, אלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו. Renew our spirits, renew our strength. May it be a good year. May it be a sweet year.
We always pause at this point in our service to think about those members of our families and circle of friends who are ailing at this point, ailing of body, of mind, of spirit. I'm going to read the list that I have, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to mention out loud, if you wish, or in the privacy of your own hearts, those about whom you are thinking, so that together we may pray for their return to a refuah shalema, a complete healing. Mark Freumsen, Kayla and Baruch, Mayor Ben Kamis of Akamamis, Courtney Krieger, Trina Miller, Moshe Ben Chaya Eliza, Rob Pepsney, Janice Kraus-Sable, Jerry Savransky. Let's join together in the singing of the Mishnah Berach. You can find the words on page 253.
Mishnah Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We move now to happier thoughts, those shehechianu moments, those moments of gratification, of blessing with which we have been endowed. Those of you who have experienced a wonderful moment during the past week, if you'd like to mention it out loud, please raise your hand and we'll hear what's been wonderful in your life. Cantor.
I'd like to share that EJ had a birthday yesterday. Don't be mad. Happy birthday, EJ, many more.
Why don't we pause just for a few seconds, each of us reflecting on what has been wonderful in our lives during the past week.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקימנו והחיינו לזמן הזה.
Friends, as I mentioned earlier in the service, we, of course, are now at the beginning of a new year, 2026, if we can believe it. But as I pointed out as well, things like New Year's, like any break in normal time, urges us to stop and to reflect about the deeper, more profound things in life. And so I'm encouraged by a statement attributed to Mark Twain, who said, and I quote, "The secret of getting ahead is getting started." And that's what I intend to do now, in the few moments allotted to me. Now, new beginnings inevitably follow prior endings. And as it turns out, we have such a sequence, and a dramatic one, a new beginning followed by a new beginning following an ending in our Torah portion for this week and for next week. This Shabbat, we finish the remarkable story of Joseph and his brothers, and with this ending, we conclude the book of beginnings, the book of Genesis. And the last word in Genesis leads us right into the book that we begin next week, beginning, that is, on Sunday, 2 days from now, when the new Jewish week begins. And that last word in the book of Genesis is the word Egypt. And I quote, "Joseph died at the age of 110. He was embalmed and placed in a coffin in Egypt." And right away, irrespective of the fact that the next word takes place a half a millennium later, we move right away to the beginning of the book of Exodus, which, though a new beginning for us readers, is paradoxically an expression of the dreadful situation of the Israelites in Egypt, where we witness the misery of servitude, of tyranny, and of the harsh labor imposed by that tyranny on the enslaved Israelites. The situation is dire, and no one could have blamed the Israelites for giving up in despair. But remarkably, the Torah provides compelling evidence that when a situation seems dire, we have the personal resources and we have the immutable principles with which to resist. And so now I want to examine all too briefly the Torah's presentation through stories of these resources, the resources with which we might resist. Stories about the midwives, stories about 3 courageous and resourceful women, and then a story about Moses. First, the midwives. Here's the Torah's story right in the first chapter of the book about them. And I quote, "The king of Egypt spoke to the midwives of the Hebrews, saying, when you deliver the Hebrew women, look at the birth stool. If it's a boy, kill him. If it's a girl, let her live." The midwives, the Torah goes on to say, fearing God, did not do as the king of Egypt had told them. Rather, they let the boys live. Now, if these midwives of the Hebrews were Egyptian women, which is most likely, then their fearing God, at least according to the biblical author, is a way of describing conscience, that inborn monitor of what is right and what is wrong. And the midwives resist. They resist on ethical grounds, even though that will surely make them vulnerable to recrimination. Secondly, we have the episode in which we see the danger confronting the baby Moses and his family. What will happen to Moses? How will his family respond? And then we see how 3 courageous women, one of whom was an Egyptian, no less, worked together to save Moses. Here is how a stunningly compact story shows us how these 3 women did it. First, when Moses' mother could no longer hide him from Pharaoh's agents, now I quote, she got a wicker basket for him, caulked it with bitumen and pitch, and she put the child into it and placed it among the reeds on the banks of the Nile. Then Moses' older sister, Miriam, stationed herself at a distance to learn what would befall him, all within this context of tyranny, with Pharaoh's agents looming everywhere, we imagine. At last, the daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe in the Nile, while her maidens walked along the river. She spied the basket among the reeds and sent her slave girl to fetch it. When she opened it, she saw that it was a child, a boy crying. And here is one of the most moving and remarkable statements in the entire Tanakh. She, Pharaoh's daughter, right from the center of the Egyptian tyranny, she took pity on this boy and said, this must be a Hebrew child. Talk about resistance. Then Miriam sprang into action, saying, shall I go and get you a Hebrew nurse to suckle that child for you? And Pharaoh's daughter answered, simply but decisively, yes. So Miriam went and called the child's mother, and Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take this child and nurse it for me, and I will pay your wages. And Moses' mother raises him before turning him back over to the Egyptian palace. Moses is saved, and the story continues thanks to these 3 courageous women, Hebrew and Egyptian, working together on a plan that saved Moses and, as we know, provided for the vast panorama of Moses' awesome leadership. And finally, there is Moses. We're not yet through chapter 2 of Exodus. And at the beginning of his maturity, the Torah relates 2 brief but potent stories about him. Stories that convey the actions of a brave, determined, and complex individual. Here they are. Story 1. Sometime after that, when Moses had grown up, he went out to his kinsfolk and witnessed their labors. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of Moses' kinsmen. He turned this way and that way, and seeing no one about, he struck down the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. When he went out the next day, he found 2 Hebrews fighting. And he said to the offender, "Why do you strike your fellow? Do you mean to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" So what do we have here? Nothing less than 2 quite different moral principles that frame Moses' actions. And the Torah leaves it up to us, the reader, to notice that these 2 principles are in tension with one another. Here they are. First, Moses acts out of loyalty to his own people. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his kinsmen. Loyalty to one's own. But secondly, he responds to the offender. Notice that the author has the protagonist of the second story to be 2 Hebrews. So he can't rely on the principle of loyalty to one's own, but has to find another one, and he does. In other words, we have here 2 principles: loyalty to one's own and justice beyond partisanship. 2 principles which quite obviously can come into conflict with one another, but Moses champions them both. Now, what does all of this add up to? In my view, it adds up to the following. In an era in which a nation or a people is imperiled, the Torah offers us 5 exemplary people whose actions provide a blueprint for how to encounter the peril and how to resist. And I suggest to you, at this particular moment in American history, that our situation mirrors that of our biblical ancestors. Indeed, we are experiencing actions and policies that assault our principles and our sensibilities. Let me simply list the most prominent. The cruelty of ICE agents. The cruelty that the ICE agents exhibit when it snatches individuals off the street, many of whom have no prior record and are accused of no wrongdoing, and then incarcerates them or sends them away. 2, the detention center in Florida, known as Alligator Alcatraz, where the degraded prisoners are treated inhumanely. A migrant detention center which faces injunctions but is still not closed. Then we have the several revenge indictments. Indictments that have been repudiated by American judges against the likes of James Comey and Letitia James, with other individuals under threat of imminent indictments. And I want to insist, perhaps you'll disagree with me, but I want to insist that bringing forward these few of the many I could have brought forward is not an example of partisan politics, for these actions have been criticized by Democrats and Republicans alike. In fact, the infractions which we are experiencing are simply beyond partisanship. These and many more are simply assaults against our democracy and against the common sense decency that any civilized society should seek to exhibit. Now, what we are experiencing here is not on the level of Egyptian tyranny, but it is still a dire situation which we must resist. And I submit to you that the early stories of the book of Exodus in our sacred scriptures, stories which we will be pondering within a few days, those stories offer us a series of ways to combat the kinds of actions we are now experiencing. And here they are. Here are these ways, now reframed by me as imperatives for all time and for this time. Be like the midwives who resisted the orders of the Pharaoh. Be like Moses' mother and sister, Yocheved and Miriam, who labored painfully and courageously to save an innocent child. Be like the daughter of Pharaoh, who reached beyond partisanship to carry out the implications of her pity for a vulnerable child. Be like Moses, who dared to enact two powerful ethical principles: loyalty to his people and loyalty to the demands of justice. Though Moses' violence that ensued was criticized and repudiated by the rabbis. Indeed, America is not ancient Egypt, and we may not be able to emulate the courage and the resolve of 5 individuals at the beginning of the book of Exodus. Yet we can see the situation as similar to our own and invoke the paths that the biblical heroes took to resist what they took to be outrageous and unacceptable. A Torah portion for all ages and for this age. Amen. We turn now in our prayer books to page 252. And as you are able, I invite you to rise for page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו ככם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך kadosh baruch hu v'namar v'haya Adonai lamelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
You may be seated.
Ozi v'zimrat yah vayhi liyeshua. Ozi v'zimrat yah vayhi liyeshua.
Ozi v'zimrat yah vayli lishua. Ozi v'zimrat yah vayli lishua. Ozi v'zimrat yah vayli lishua. Ozi v'zimrat yah vayli lishua.
We turn now in our prayer books to page 289 as we prepare for the recitation of the mourner's Kaddish. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance, and our life burns down in gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and of life. We think now of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We think especially on this Shabbat, those who have been laid to rest during the past week: Nathan J. Arnold, Marilyn Long, Madeline Rosen. And we think as well of those who were laid to rest in the last 30 days, beginning with the victims of the Bondi Beach attack in Australia: Matilda Britvan, Rabbi Eli Schlanger, Dan Elkayam, Alexander Kletman, Peter Meager, Reuven Morrison, Rabbi Yaakov Levitan, Tibor Weitzen, Marika Pogani, Boris Gurman, Sophia Gurman, Edith Brutman. And we think as well of Maureen Roscoff, Hunter Morrison, Mark D. Arlen, John Charles Jack Bubalik, Bernard Gordon, Reverend Roger Osgood, Dr. Melvin Shafran, Sarah Beth Sokolsky, Brian Zoldesi, Vladimir Pobagalo, and David L. Polk. We also want to take into our hearts those individuals whose yahrzeits are being observed. I'm going to read from the list of the names called in by you: William Borstein, Lillian Charnas, Mildred Cohn, Liba Dempsey, Leo Dempsey, Jeffrey Aaron Edelman, Jerome S. Fish, Suzette Stoyer Gertie, Judith Glickson, Kennard Everett Goodman, Clara Green, Helen Greenwald, Lillian G. Groden, Esther Husson, Elise Beth Insler, Maurice Jacobson, Louis Kendis, Jacob Klein, Edith S. Lee, Harry Lee, Miriam Lyken, Alice Friedman Lissauer, Madeline Marmaros, Penny Marmaros, Harry W. Meese, Nancy Meese, Josephine S. Mole, Mayor J. Mole, Joseph H. Joe Newman, Frida Pantzer, Alan Peskin, Earl Reamer, Aunt May Roby, Carl Seid, Dr. Anthony Bruce Selman, Amy Margolis Silberman, Sanford Simkoff, Bruce M. Stern, Pearl Hoffman Switzer, Leonard M. Task, David Haber Warshawski, Richard Weiner, Sam Zeev. On your Shabbat handout, you can see in the inner pages the full list of those whose yard sites are being observed at this time. And now I want to offer you an opportunity to mention those precious deceased who have not just been mentioned. As my hand passes over your section of the congregation, feel free to mention those about whom you are thinking.
Nathaniel Reeves.
And now I invite those who are observing the first 7 days after the death of a loved one, the Shiva period, if you wish to please rise. Those who are observing the Shloshim period, the first 30 days after the death of a loved one, to please rise. And those who are observing the yard site, the anniversary of the death of a loved one, to please rise. And now, as a caring congregation, I invite all of us to rise as together we sanctify the name of our God with the words of the Kaddish found on page 294. As we say together, Yit Gadal v'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, v'Yalma Divrach Chirutei v'Yamlich Malchutei, v'Chayechon of Yomechon v'Chayedech al Beit Yisrael, Ba'agalav Izman Kari v'Yamru Amen. Yahei Shemei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam Alamei Omaya. Yit Barach v'Yishtabach v'Yit Pa'ar v'Yit Romam v'Yit Naseh v'Yit Hadar v'Yit Halei v'Yit Halal Shmei Dekudisha Parichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata v'Shirata Tushbachata v'Nechemata Ta'amiran B'Yalma v'Yamru Amen. Yehei Shalom Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chayim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yamru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Yamru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us. And let us say together, Amen. You may be seated. I want to make several brief announcements about the things that are upcoming in our congregation. Tomorrow morning, Torah study, 9 o'clock in the Hartzmark room. We'll finish the book of Genesis and begin to look forward or toward the book of Exodus. Tuesday, January 6th at 9:15, the weekly Minyan with Cantor Lappin. On Wednesday, January 7, 14, 21, and 28 at 9 o'clock. Zoom learning with Rabbi Caruso, who is engaged in a multi-day series on Judaism is About Love, in which the group studies Rabbi Ishaya Held's groundbreaking book, Judaism is About Love, Reclaiming the Heart of Jewish Life. Wednesday, January 7th, 2 o'clock here, the Senior Drop-In Cafe. This is an activity that has gone on for several months. Several of you are involved in one way or another. It's a very nice opportunity for people to come, get together, and have some casual conversation. Friday, January 9th at 5:30, the K through 2 Shabbat service, an opportunity for families with young children and so on to celebrate. RSVP required to Stacy Cohen, Assistant Director of Limud. Shall I go slower, or can you keep up with this? On Sunday, January 11th at 1 o'clock, Scandals, Secrets, and Struggles of Moshe Gershuni. Join Katya Eucherman, PhD, to learn more about this artist who broke through on the international art scene in the 1960s. January 11th, next Sunday, a week from Sunday, book group meeting with the Mishkan Or Tikkun Olam group, Harlem Rhapsody, a novel by Victoria Christopher Murray. And Friday, January 16th, Shabbat service honoring the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I see here, written in my own hand, the announcement that Cantor and Robbie Sebo, I've only been pronouncing that name for 30 years. Cantor, oh my gosh.
No, it happens when it's cold outside. I
It's
know.
very
Yeah.
cold. And
It does.
it's getting chilly in here, too.
Yes.
They will do an encore presentation of their recent trip to Europe, back by popular demand.
Yes, Sunday morning, 2 Sunday mornings, if you would love to join us, we would be so happy to have you. February 8th and February 22nd, both from 10 until 12. Part 1, Germany and Poland, our experiences there. Part 2, Hungary, Czech Republic, Austria, Slovakia. And we'd love to see you. There'll be bagels. You should come.
We're going to conclude with the singing of a new year. You can find the words on your yellow handout sheets.
May this be a year of love and kindness. May strangers come to be friends. May truth and compassion always guide us. Amen.
May this be a year of hope and healing for all of those in need.
May all of our deeds be a blessing. Amen. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer.
May this be a year of selfless giving. May this be a year of peace.
And may we forgive and be forgiven. Amen. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer.
Closer to the ones we love.
A world that we can be proud of.
Long as there are stars above.
There comes a new year. Amen. Amen.
Please join us in the Commons after the concluding prayer, and we'll make Kiddush and Motzi together. Will you please rise now for the benediction? Adonai oz li'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May the Lord give strength to God's people. May the Lord bless all of God's people with the blessings of shalom, of peace. Amen.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Either one.